Yes, welcome in 1-0. This is the full 10 yards at betting podcast. Just 3 weeks left of the NFL season, left to win some money, and hopefully we'll get a better weekend than we did from wildcard weekend. It wasn't a great weekend, was it? Let's be honest. But yeah, 4 more games. Favorite weekend of the whole year for me. Not just betting, but as a spectator. You know, you've got eight cracking teams. You've got 4 great matchups, all waiting to get to the title games for their respective conferences. So hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. Like I say, not a high bar to surpass from last week. Adam, you were one of the most happiest last week. Pretty much nailed all your bets, and you witnessed a Bengals playoff win. How did that feel? Sending that text.
Yeah. Obviously, you were bugging me to send you a text for ages. It got to about 2:30 in the morning before I sent you one. In the end, I was surprisingly emotional, to be honest. Yeah, I got to obviously the stress of that final drive, and then when it finally happened, I was just kind of sat there in shock that it actually happened. I don't think we were lucky, as a lot of people have said, but obviously it came down to the last play, and they pulled out. Like, the defense was injured, but didn't break as it should do. So yeah, I was over the moon, really, and they're 5 out of 6 on the results on here. Can't complain. Yeah, not a bad weekend.
No, I mean, I thought they were fairly comfortable throughout, to be quite honest. I mean, it did get hairy at the end, but yeah, no, I wasn't really ever in doubt that the Bengals were not going to win that game. I mean, I switched over at halftime and got engrossed in Dexter, but we won't get into that. Never mind.
Hey,
Jack,
it's good. It's good. I like the new Dexter.
It is very good. Jack, your 49ers bet is looking good. Bastard.
Yeah, was obviously delighted they bet the Cowboys last weekend. I'm not as confident this weekend, unfortunately. I don't know if they're going to beat the Packers, especially with injuries, but they give it a good go. Betting wise, I had a pretty good weekend as well. I think I got 5 out of 6. The only one I didn't get was the overs in the Cardinals game, because I expected the Cardinals to be a bit better than absolutely useless as which they were. But yeah, otherwise it was a pretty good weekend for me as well, gambling wise.
Yeah, and as you can see, driving in, well, he's not literally driving in his car, but Mr. Callum Squires, whereabouts are you in the world?
I've fled Dallas after beating the job for the Cowboys last weekend. Driving down to interview for the job of head coach with the Houston Texans. So yeah, I'm approaching Houston, thinking that I might have a better shot at keeping it for more than one season than David Culley did, who was always a dead man walking, basically. So yeah, I apologize for the shakiness of me holding my phone, but yeah, clearly I don't know anything about the NFC, so I'm going to just try and make sure that I continue my streak on the AFC this week and hopefully get some more predictions correct.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily my strong point last week. I think I was 2 out of 6 after a decent regular season end to it, but never mind. I mean, we're not here. We're not going to get into Dallas territory. You should have stayed in Dallas, Callum, and try and get Mike McCarthy fired and stand outside in the picket line or something. But,
wow.
But there we go. Right, let's move on then to the divisional round. Bengals are first up again this weekend. They travel to Nashville to face the Titans. The Bengals here plus 3.5 on the handicap, and over under is 47.5. Interesting game, this one. I feel like, and it's the case for the NFC as well, but I feel like the one seeds are kind of going against teams with quite a bit of momentum. Obviously they're at home, so I think they're going to be fascinating matchups, because you've got the Packers haven't really done much for the last couple of weeks. They struggled against Detroit, even though Rodgers was in. They've not really done much the last couple of game weeks that they've played. But this one here, Titans. No one again. Everyone's kind of surprised the Titans were the 1 seed, and obviously they won the most games, so they're entitled to be there. But I feel like, specifically me, I feel like the Bengals have on a bit of momentum, bit of a roll. Won their first playoff game, travelled down to Nashville. I think that, excuse me, they'll be full of confidence, despite Derrick Henry being back or not. The Titans seem to have the same rushing performance whether he's there or not. So Derrick Henry doesn't really carry too much of a not necessarily more of an impetus for the Titans, but two run defenses that are pretty good. So it could be a game that reverts to the era. Adam, I'm sure you'll correct me with that, but. I think the Bengals give me the 3.5. I love a 3.5. Give me the 3.5, Adam.
I like your confidence. Yeah, it's been a weird week as a fan. A lot of people are jumping on the Burrow bandwagon, and then a lot of people are spouting nonsense saying that the Bengals are lucky to be here at all. As I said at the start, I think the Bengals were in control of that.
Nope. So anti-Bengals fans have got into. Oh, there he is. Hello.
Yeah, my internet's in and out today by the look of it. Yeah, I thought the Bengals were comfortable last week. They scored out of 6 out of 8 of their drives. There you go. I'll get there eventually. And it was the same as a regular season game between us and the Raiders. We knew the defense was good enough despite the injuries last week. Losing Larry Ogunjobi's obviously a big loss. He's been really good this year, but Hendrickson's going to be playing in this one, overcoming the concussion. DJ Reader's there, and he's been one of the best run stuffers this year. Chidobe Awuzie is, I think, 2nd or 3rd according to PFF stats at cornerback, so he should be able to do a fair job on either AJ Brown or Julio. I don't know whether we will double AJ Brown and put him on Julio. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think it should be a cracking game. I think it was a good comparison. Them and the 49ers going up against the 1 seeds. As you say, they're both coming in with momentum. Both have the ability to beat the opposition. The Bengals didn't play the Titans this year, but they beat them fairly comfortably last year. In admittedly a Titans team who didn't have any pass rush, and they have developed that a bit this year. And Jeffrey Simmons in the interior is going to be the one that the Bengals need to slow down. That's where they struggle. So we'll see how that goes. The key to this game, obviously, stopping Derrick Henry and the Titans' run game. As you said, they've run the ball well with or without Henry. He'll be back. I think the beat writers are saying 20 touches this game. I think they'll try and ease him in if they can. It depends how the game flow goes. It's the first game since Halloween that the Titans have had AJ Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry playing. So that'll be interesting. They went 4-1 earlier in the season with those 3 in the team. So it's safe to say that they will look good. One little bit of note that I have is, obviously, as a Bengals fan, all I ever hear is how bad our offensive line is. The Titans only allowed 4 fewer sacks this year than the Bengals did, and I barely hear anyone mentioning the Titans' offensive line. So Hendrickson should have success. I'll admit, last week when I was predicting lines for this game, I thought Titans -4, Titans -5, somewhere between that. So unfortunately, I think I've got to take the Titans on the spread. But my selection for this one will be over 47.5. Bengals to win by 3. There you go. That cheer you guys up?
There you go.
Shambles.
Yeah. I mean, Bengals do. I think they'll just have enough to handle the Titans on offense. I mean, they're a decent offense, but I'd never value them as a juggernaut. And I know the Bengals have given up over a decent amount of rush yardage over the last. I think it's 5 out of the last 6 games they've given up over 100 yards or something on the ground, which obviously you don't want Derrick Henry against you, but. Like I say, the stats show that it doesn't really matter who's behind that Titans offensive line. It's still going to be the same. But I just think they've just got enough to handle them. Jack, how do you see this going?
I think, to be honest, the handicap's probably about right. I don't really have a favorable handicap either side. I think that both teams will fancy their chances. Both of them will be delighted to avoid the Chiefs and the Bills. If you ask the Titans, they said they'd like to play the Bengals. If you ask the Bengals, they'd say they'd like to play the Titans. So I reckon we'll go a few points in this game. I know there's a few injuries on the Bengals defensive line. I don't know if they're going to play, are they? I think they're but like I said, they'll play even if they're a bit injured. So I expect Derrick Henry to, even though it's his first game back, I expect him to do well. As for the Bengals offense, Burrow is he's going to fling it down to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, regardless, even if they're open or not. So the 47 points is the same as Adams, very appealing. Looking forward to it. I think that either team that wins is going to lose in the AFC Championship game, regardless. But sorry, Adam. But
no, it's fair.
But it's probably going to be a good game because everyone's kind of overlooking it, thinking that the other 3 games will be better. But I expect this to be a high-scoring game and maybe the best of the 4.
Ooh, yeah, I think, but wow. I mean, I like all 4 games to be quite honest. So I'm not really fussed as to the schedule of them. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned T Higgins there. I thought it was quite a decent price at over 2-1 anytime. I know Chase and we won't get into whether Boyd's touchdown should have stood last week, but it did stand in in the history books. So yeah, I've got a funny feeling of T Higgins this week over 2-1. But I thought that was a tad high. But Callum, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Jack's broken it down perfectly, to be honest with you. I think I've agreed with absolutely everything he said. I think I can see a lot of points. I like the Bengals in this. And yeah, I think in reality, it's unfortunately kind of the 3rd and 4th place playoff in the AFC in reality. I think the two best teams are in the other game this weekend. With no disrespect to the Bengals or the Titans, who I think are both good teams, but I think the Bills and the Chiefs have shown consistency of late. To show you just why they are who they are. Yeah, I like the Bengals to win the game. Honestly, I really do. I think Burrow is so high on confidence right now. Nothing's going to rattle him. I hear the beat writers suggesting 20 touches for Eric Henry. You know, even if he has that, is how healthy is he really? You know, he's been out for a while. I can't imagine he's going to be 100%. You know, and I saw someone trying to suggest that this was the healthiest that Julio Jones has been all season. He hasn't done anything all season. I can't be afraid of Julio for the Titans anymore, like I was under the Falcons with him and Matt Ryan. And so, you know, I think really if the Bengals are able to silence AJ Brown, I think you can manage the game from there. I like Tim's suggestion of T Higgins, but equally after last week and his performance, I think you've got to give some attention to CJ Uzomah again. Who had a really good game last weekend,
He was
and he can be another threat for them, especially in the red zone. Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I like Uzomah as a pick there. But yeah, to be honest with you, Adam, I think you'll be celebrating come Saturday evening because I really like the Bengals to do the business in this one.
Yeah,
I hope so. You got the AFC right last week, so let's hope you're doing the same this week.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, and I don't want to get any heat from Titans fans. I mean, I don't know any
all 2 of them. It's fine.
All 2 of them. Yeah. Well, I don't think Julio Jones wears number 2, doesn't he? And every episode, whenever I take a dog for a walk, like the blue bins go out for the recycling, I always see number 2. I always think, oh, that's Julio Jones there. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why I thought of that or how I managed to know. But yeah, but you're right, Callum. He's done sod all this season. He scored 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on. He's done.
Yeah, I drafted him in every single fantasy league possible, and he did nothing.
It's because he's always injured after 2 minutes. That's the problem. So,
yeah, terrible.
There we go. Right, let's have a look at everyone's selections then. So, Tim, Bengals plus 3.5. Adam, Jack overs 47.5, and Callum's done the double for So there you go. We're all pretty much in agreement. Bengals plus 3.5 and over 47.5 points. Away you go, ladies and gentlemen.
It's worrying. Yeah, that game's just weird. The Titans and the Bengals both lost to the Jets this year, and they both beat the Chiefs this year. It's just.
Do the if the Bengals win, who would they host? Which one would they host? Is it the Bills?
Bengals won't host anyone.
Why not?
No, Bengals were 4th seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were 3. Okay.
No, so they're on the road either way, and I mean the Bengals have got a puncher's chance against anyone just because they can put up points quick. But yeah. I agree with both of you guys. I think it'll probably be -6.5, depending on Bills or Chiefs. I think they'll keep it below 7, but I think that's what it'll be opening, and that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, let's switch over to the NFC then. The second game on Saturday. The 49ers travel to Lambeau Field, 5.5 point underdogs. Over under here is also 47.5. Packers won this game earlier in the season, late Mason Crosby field goal. 49ers demolished them in the NFC title game a couple of years ago. And in the regular season, obviously the same year. Jimmy G did try to give the game to Dallas last week before Dallas decided to do the 1999 Royal Rumble Kane eliminating himself impression, which I wasn't really impressed with. But you get used to it being a Dallas fan, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there we go. Jimmy G worryingly trying to hand the game back to Dallas in last week. Green Bay tend to struggle against them a little bit. They've been okay in recent weeks, but all the main players that got injured or kind of got half injured last week should be okay to play in this one. 2 really good offenses, 2 really well executed offenses, and 2 decent head coaches in Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan. Adam, take it away.
Yeah, we said the coaching mismatch would be a big thing last week, and it proved right. Obviously, with that final play and many other terrible decisions that went on. I watched on Nickelodeon. I really enjoyed the Nick coverage. That was made it a little bit more bearable watching that game. But yeah, this week it's going to be cold. It's going to be apparently with wind chill could take it to 0 Fahrenheit. It's about minus 20 Celsius, and Jimmy G's never played apparently in sub-zero temperatures, which seems weird given the fact he was on the Patriots. So I cannot imagine he's going to be too comfortable with his poorly shoulder and his poorly thumb and the other bits. As you said, second half last week, we handicapped it perfectly. We said that he was a risk, and we said that he makes mistakes, and he did. Like, you called it on the WhatsApp group that he was going to throw an interception, and he did a few minutes later. So it was predictable.
I nailed that article last week. The only thing that didn't happen was Dallas winning.
Yeah, but we all knew that wasn't going to happen. The rest of it was good.
Took me out and John's off.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, the 49ers line up well against the Packers. I are obviously a very good running team, and the Packers are bottom 5 in run defense this year. So you'd imagine it'll be similar this week. It'll be Eli Mitchell and Debo, and that's what they'll try and do. Obviously, you mentioned the championship game a couple of years back. That was Raheem Mostert with, I think, 200 plus and a few touchdowns. And that's the way they want to go this week. It's whether they can or not is a different thing. Could mean a lot of blocking for Kittle, but if he gets free, you know that he can do some damage. The Packers hit 13 wins for the third season in a row. I think one of the first teams, either the first team ever or one of the first teams, I cannot remember exactly. But they're looking healthier than they have done all year. They had David Bakhtiari back in week 18 to give him a run out. Jair Alexander should be back. The Smith brothers are back. The only player they are probably missing from the named players is MVS. He's listed as doubtful, but it's not really a big loss. They only really need Devontae Adams, who should have a decent game against this Niners secondary, which isn't very good. So unfortunately, I have a really weird thing about Aaron Rodgers. I really don't like him. So unfortunately, I say this with a heavy heart that I've got to take the Packers, covering 5.5. They've had the week off. They're the healthiest team, and the weather is going to help them. So yeah, unfortunately, I think the Packers win this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting line. I thought 5.5 was probably a bit too high. I don't know if the bookies are baking into it, the weather and the fact that the Packers have had a week off. But this is a game that has so many different scenarios and so many different ways it can play out. I think I have to take the 5.5 for the San Francisco 49ers. I've gone a different way altogether because I don't know how to bet. I think it's pretty much a coin flip in terms of who wins this game, because like I say, San Francisco, if they turn up and play how they do, I'm not sure the Packers really stop them. The one thing I do think that there's going to be a lot of points, which is why I've gone over on the total points. But Jack, how do you see it?
The more I think about it, the more I think the Packers are going to win. I have the 49ers backed outright and to get to the NFC Championship game, so I'm just hoping they'll win. But even the Jimmy G injury, I think that could nearly be a blessing in disguise to them, because they might use him less, run the ball more. I can't trust him at all. Rodgers is 0-3 against the 49ers in the playoffs, and that could be something in the back of his head, back of his mind. You know, the way Rodgers is, if they keep running the ball, just say for the first half, for example, if they hold it for maybe 20 minutes, Rodgers on the field for 10, he could end up getting angsty, and, you wouldn't know how it will go. The only way I can see the 49ers winning is just literally run the entire game. But I suppose they kind of need to start well to be able to keep doing that. 5.5, as you said, I think is a bit high as well. I thought it'd be maybe 3, but I suppose the injuries to Bosa and Warner, who I think are both supposed to be playing, I suppose it's a playoff game, so they probably will regardless. 5.5, I think is a bit too high, so I would take the 49ers plus 5.5. The total I wouldn't touch, and I think on Sky Bet they have both teams to score a rushing touchdown at 11-10. I might also have a little stab at that, but as for the 49ers, it's more kind of me hoping that they'll win as opposed to me thinking they will. But 5.5, as I said, is a bit too much, so 5.5 is the one that I'd be going for plus in the 49ers.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. Both rushing touchdown 11-10 is not a bad shout. Talking of touchdown scorers, I saw Debo Samuel and Eli Mitchell above even money, which I thought was a bit surprising, considering especially what Debo Samuel has done this year. Callum, what have you gone for, and what were you all backing? Which one are we backing the other way?
Well, I'll tell you straight up, you're talking touchdown scorers, Sky Bet do both players to score a touchdown, and I would definitely take Mitchell for the 49ers and AJ Dillon for the Packers. I think there could be some good value there. I see obviously with the cold weather, those two being likely candidates to find the end zone if you want to boost the odds slightly from the 11 to 10 on the rushing touchdowns, though I do think that's a good shout as well. I think, ironically for me, this game, the coin toss at the start could play a really pivotal role, because I do think that if the 49ers win the toss, they should take the ball and run and try and complete the entire first quarter without giving Aaron Rodgers the ball. I think what this should be from Kyle Shanahan is a tribute to the Bill Belichick 3-pass game we saw earlier this year. If they can make Jimmy Garoppolo pass less than 5 times, they have a chance. If Jimmy Garoppolo has to win you the game, he will lose the game. We've said it already. He was always going to give Dallas one last week. We knew it was coming. The only way the 49ers win this game for me is if Jimmy does not have a serious role in the game plan whatsoever. So for me, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm scheming any number of runs. Mitchell, Debo, whoever you like, even give it to Ayuk on a jet sweep or something. Anything to stop Jimmy Garoppolo trying to pass the ball downfield against the Packers. I'm not a big 49ers guy. As I said last week, I was the one who really fancied Dallas last week, and I was proven wrong thanks to Mr. McCarthy, and we won't go there for Tim's trauma. But yeah, I 100% am backing the Packers and Rodgers with the minus 5.5 here. I think if it's close at the end, Rodgers is clutch enough to find a way to win. Though it's interesting to hear he's 0-3 against the Niners in the playoffs. That could play a role. But I just think the Packers are overall the better team and they're healthier. So if the Niners are able to run it for quarter upon quarter, they have a chance. But if Rodgers is clicking, I don't see a way they can beat the Packers.
It's like you may say, but take it out of Jimmy G's hands. It reminded me of the scene in Family Guy where Peter's at the top of the stairs trying to remember how to walk down the stairs and then just falls down the stairs. That's Jimmy G trying to throw the football. But there we go. Right, let's go through our bets then. So I've gone over 47.5. Adam's gone Packers at minus 5.5. Callum's gone Packers minus 5.5. And Jack's gone 5.5 for the 49ers. So at least one of us are going to be wrong in that one. Moving on.
4-1 for Eli Mitchell and AJ Dillon, both to score on Sky Bet, as Callum suggested. I was going to mention AJ Dillon. He was 13-10 to score any time, and he does very well in the cold. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I like that. I seen that Debo and Devontae Adams both scored a touchdown. Is 7-2 power price on Paddy Power. It's not bad either.
Nice.
Yeah, can't argue.
Yeah, like that a lot. All right, let's move on to what I think will probably be the lowest scoring game of the weekend. But let's see if the other guys agree. Rams plus 2.5 at the Buccaneers. For some reason, this game is over under 48. So that pretty much tells you where I'm going with this game. Unders. I just can't trust Matthew Stafford. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I know he had a decent game last week, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a sneak as well. But there's not many weeks in this NFL season where he's kind of dragged his team through and got them the win. I know they played the Buccaneers very well in when they played in the regular season. Was it week 3 or week 4, something early on in the season? But I just think the defenses are going to come to play in this one. It's going to be a couple of turnovers on both sides, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of points. Obviously, it reminded me of the Brady versus Sean McVay in Super Bowl 53, 13-3 game. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's something like that again, to be quite honest. The defenses are by far the best units on the field, and you'll give me Tom Brady over Matthew Stafford. And that's pretty much all I've got to say. I don't understand how this is not 42, 43 points on total points. Just give me the unders, Adam.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I didn't actually look at the total, to be honest, but I would be definitely on the unders for that one. Obviously, tough spot for the Rams going across the country on a shorter week, but they did have the second half of last week off, essentially. It's hard to judge anything from that game because the Cardinals were just so terrible. I don't know whether the Rams were any good or not. It was literally just the Cardinals were awful. As you said, with Matthew Stafford.
They just ran the ball. Matt Stafford threw 17 passes last week. I mean,
that's what I was about to say. 17 attempts, 13 completions, 2 touchdowns. And I obviously this last weekend was the first time in a long time I've been able to watch pretty much all the games. And watching that one, it was very interesting what they did. They used Kupp as a distraction for most of it. They sent him a bit deeper and then left the shallow routes for Higbee and Beckham, or saw the coverage was on Cup and then threw it to Beckham, and it worked really well. Obviously, they fairly comfortably beat the Bucks in the regular season, but that was when they had loads of secondary injuries, which they took advantage of. But Deshaun Jackson had the giant pass on that one. Van Jefferson had a massive pass on that one. Both for touchdowns. But yeah, I think this one, the key is obviously Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen, the center for the Bucks. Wirfs, but those two missing in the second half last week. Brady was under pressure constantly. He was taking sacks, he was getting hit, and that was without being up against Aaron Donald, Von Miller. So obviously we know that Brady is the only quarterback in the entire league who suffers from pressure up the middle. No other quarterback apparently suffers from that one, and Aaron Donald's going to be all over them. He is going to be in the backfield all day if those two don't go, and that is obviously going to keep the score down as well. Again, same for the Rams as last week. Keep it clean, and they probably win. I thought Cam Akers looked really good on his return from injury. He got, I think there was about 50-50 on snaps from Michelle, but Akers looked a lot better than Michelle did. He's a lot more explosive, and he ran to the outside, which is where you can beat the Bucks. They have a lot of pace in the linebacker core, but you avoid Vita Vea, and that's kind of the key there. The Bucks, obviously, you got Mike Evans. Jalen Ramsey doesn't tend to follow people. He normally stays on his one side, but he can shut down Evans if the ball comes that way. If they are missing players on the offensive line, they're going to need Gronk to block more, so that's going to remove another weapon. So I think, frankly, it all depends on the health of them two on the offensive line, which is a weird way to look at a game, but that's where I'm going with it. Gio Bernard looked good last week. Fournette is back in training, but seemingly unsure whether they're going to play him or not. So that hurts the run game a bit. But frankly, I do like the Rams to win this one. I think they match up well, and the injuries hurting the Bucks could well cost them after being fairly healthy for the whole of last year. It's coming to bite them a bit this year. So yeah, I've gone for the Rams to cover the spread. I think I got +3 when I mentioned it. 2.5's a little more dodgy, but I guess I'd still probably take it. I think they went outright. So.
Yeah, obviously, playoff Lenny. I suppose we can call him layoff Lenny at the moment because he's not working. Jack, over to you. Your thoughts on the game?
I said after the Super Bowl last year I would never ever back against Brady in the playoffs again, but here we are. I'm going with the Rams +3, and it's basically because of injuries for the Bucks. Two offensive linemen being out is going to be massive. I think the Eagles sacked Brady 4 times. Aaron Donald's going to cause mayhem. So I know Von Miller's a good bit older now, but even the last day I think he got a sack against the Cardinals. If he gets a bit of space at all, he'll hit Brady and he won't like it. The total points, I agree with you 100%, is way too high. What is it, 48? I could see it being like a 2017 game as well. The Rams last weekend, I know they bet the Cardinals, but the Cardinals nearly bet themselves. They were absolutely terrible. It's the worst performance of the weekend by a mile. Rams +3 is obviously a lot more appealing than 2.5 because Brady can just pull it out of the fire sometimes. But if I was to go for Anthem, it would be the Rams +3 or 2.5, whatever.
Cool. Callum?
Yeah, same. I'm taking the Rams as well. I fancy them to win this outright as well, like Adam said. I know they are technically the underdogs, but with the injuries that the Bucks have and just the quality that the Rams have on their offense, I really do think they can cause some problems. Now, conversely to all three of you, maybe this is just wishful thinking that I want to be entertained. I like the points in this game. I want to see some touchdowns, and I think there's so many weapons on both sides of the ball that you may well get a high-scoring shootout. I mean, if anyone is going to be able to pick apart the safeties of the Rams, like Eric Weddle, who's just come out of retirement, it's Tom Brady. I mean, obviously he's got to be upright, and maybe there's going to be an issue of containing Aaron Donald, but it's not a 2-person offensive line for the Bucks. There are more players there than just Wirfs. So I'm hoping that they can find ways to get the ball out quickly, and I would definitely take the over on all of Tampa Bay's running backs' receiving yards, if that makes sense, because Brady is smart enough to find the dump off and get the ball out quickly as soon as possible, just to make sure he does avoid the sacks and the hits. But yeah, I can see Odell, who is apparently now the best quarterback on the Rams, as well as the second best wide receiver. I can see Odell having a big game. Lights shine bright. He wants to be the center of attention. And I like Higbee and Klopp as well. So yeah, for me, I'm going to push for the over, I think. And yeah, I do think the Rams will win outright though.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, at least it sets up to be an interesting game anyway. And then, yeah, maybe from the sparsity of points in the first game, it should be a barnstormer on Sunday Night Football, shouldn't it? Bills plus 2 at the Chiefs. Over under here 54 by far. I'd say the highest points total of the weekend. But for me, this game, I mean, if you look at the Bills over the last couple of years, they seem to have progressed. Each and every year that they've kind of got to the playoffs, they obviously capitulated against Houston a couple of years ago. Then they lost to the Chiefs a year or two ago. I think that they get vengeance here, and I think they get into the AFC title game. I think Singletary, Knox, and all the supporting cast of Buffalo have stepped up insurmountable amounts of from previous years, and whilst they can still be questioned in terms of legitimacy of being an offensive weapon, it's currently all clicking for the Bills, and demolishing New England. All right, it's not the hardest thing to do, but for this Bills team who kind of need the confidence, need that momentum, I think that will make them very tough to beat, even if they are going to Arrowhead. I've never been too fascinated with the Chiefs this season. They've always seemed to underwhelm me a little bit. I mean, they have shown that they have the ability to do the short, methodical drives that take off a lot of time. When we're all expecting, 75-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill or whatever. But I think the Bills upset the Chiefs here. I don't like the +2. I would buy up and obviously get a field goal at a lesser price, but give me the points as well. I think both of these teams could get to third, and you could have a decent bit of a shootout. And I think that the Bills defense will just keep Mahomes off the field without giving up any points. I just can't see the Kansas City defense stopping the Bills. I mean, the Bills scored on 7 straight drives against New England, and I think they'll just keep rolling. Josh Allen, I think, knows how to do it now. He knows he's been around the block enough in the playoffs and suffered enough heartbreaks. And I think he's just got the grip between his teeth and mugging his back a little bit. I think he'll get the job done here for Buffalo. Adam.
I'm not sure. Frankly, I don't think you can gain anything from either of these teams from their performances last week. I think the Patriots were terrible, and I think the Steelers obviously one of the worst teams in the league. So there's nothing to be gained. Nothing to be gained from the Chiefs winning there. Obviously, the Bills beat the Chiefs earlier in the season at Arrowhead, and they are built to beat their biggest rival, and their biggest rival is the Chiefs. So, for me, I think there's a very good chance they do beat the Chiefs. I probably would take the money line rather than giving away value and taking the 3. I'd probably just go straight money line on that one. But it's a tough one. Like, the Bills got out to a lead early last week, and the Patriots can't play from behind. The Patriots can't score 5 touchdowns in 10.5 minutes like the Chiefs did. The Chiefs had no worries if they go behind. They know that they can turn it on if they need, even against a decent defense. The Bills might be a decent defense, but they really haven't had any challenge for, pretty much the whole year, frankly. Singletary, as you said, has carried on his good form. Dawson Knox looked great again. It was Knox who did the damage in the regular season game. He had over 100 and a touchdown against the Chiefs, and he added obviously another 2 to his 9 touchdowns for the regular season. I really don't know about the Chiefs defense. That is my big worry. Obviously, it looked like they did better in the second half, but they played the Giants, they played Jordan Love's Packers, they played the Raiders twice, they played the Cowboys, fair enough, decent performance, but the Cowboys were up and down. They played the Broncos twice, and they played the Steelers. The only 2 functional offenses they played were the Bengals and the Chargers, and they conceded 28 and 31 points. So I think there's a very, very good chance this is a very high-scoring game. You can get both teams to score a touchdown in each half at 5-6, which seems like printing money, frankly, on Betfair. But I'm going to take the over 53.5. I think would be my bet on this one. It could well be a case of whoever has the ball last wins. It should be a heck of a way to finish out the weekend, and my Monday morning wake up at 6:30 is going to be rough because I need to stay awake to watch this one. Normally, I just give up and go to sleep, but this should be a cracking game. And obviously, I want to see who the Bengals are going to play in the championship round. So I've got to stay up for this one.
There it is. Yeah, it certainly does seem to be a lot of points on the table, Jack.
I'm leaning towards the Chiefs winning here. Mahomes at home in the playoffs. I'll never back against him. The two teams were very good last weekend. The two defenses were very good last weekend. But as Adam said, I don't think either of them really played anyone even in the last couple of games in the regular season. So I also expect a ton of points. I could see it kind of starting off a bit edgy, like maybe 7-3 after the first quarter, and then it just exploding. It's one of them games that I could see it nearly being like a 40-35 sort of game. That like both offenses are just going to be flinging it in the second half. I'm just going to pick Mahomes over Josh Allen every time. I know Josh Allen's obviously great, but he just kind of has that little bit more prone to just making stupid mistakes. I know obviously he's a lot better this year than he has been in previous years for cutting them out, but I just think he has it in him that he can just do something silly, like maybe try to get an extra couple of yards and fumble, and that could be the difference to you winning and losing the game. And two teams are so tightly matched like this. I'd love to take the overs, but I think 53.5 is a little bit high to take. And I also
you just said it's going to be a 40-35 game. And you're not going to take over 53.5. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I just have a rule that I just shouldn't be taking overs in this podcast anymore after my previous shouts. So yeah, I'd be taking the Chiefs -1.5. Really looking forward to this game as well. What time it's on it? 1:30, I think.
It's 11. It's 11. It's not too bad. 11:30. Sorry.
It could even go to overtime, like, and it'll be one of them games you kind of have to stay up and watch to see who plays the Bengals next weekend.
Hey.
You also said you don't back against Tom Brady in the playoffs. So you've done that this podcast.
I know, yeah.
Full of contradiction.
I know.
There we go. Callum, round us out.
Yeah, I think it'll be really close. So I think in that sense, I'm going to take Buffalo plus the points. If the Bills are going to win this game and get to the championship, this is the season to do it. Their team is flying. They've just finally knocked off Big Brother and humiliated them. Finally put an end to the evil empire of the Patriots. I can see it being a shootout. I agree. I like the over in this. I don't think one team will blow the other one out either way. But I do think it really is a toss-up. So in that sense, I could see Buffalo winning, and hence I'm going to take the points and assume it stays really close. It's kind of a lose-lose picking this one way or the other, because I think both teams are fantastic. And like I've already said, Adam, I apologize. I think whoever wins this will be beating the Bengals next weekend. But because I've picked the Packers and the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl, I'll be cheering for the Chiefs just about. But I think it's a very close game nonetheless.
Yep, tend to agree. Let's have a little look at what we've gone for. I've gone Bills +3 and over 53.5. Adam, Callum have gone overs, and Jack has gone -1.5 for the Chiefs. I realise that I didn't do the Rams and Bucks, so we'll cover that now. I've gone under 48. Jack and Adam gone Rams +3, and then similar to the first game we covered, Callum's done a double of essentially what everyone else has gone for. So, all quite, apart from a few things, pretty much in sync this week, fellas, which, like Adam seems to always worry about, can be a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. But march on the Bengals. Come on.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a tortuous 3.5 hours tomorrow night, I think.
Not used to it, Adam, are you? Not used to it. I mean, at least with being a Cowboys fan, you can just you turn up, walk around, and then just go and then walk yourself out. It's like Abe Simpson, like in the Gentleman's Club. Walk into the playoffs, turn around, and then walk back out again. See you later. Like, at least we know defeat is coming at some point. But you've generally got probably a better chance than the Cowboys have ever had to get to a title game. I read a stat somewhere.
Last 20 years, maybe, yeah.
I read a stat somewhere that Colin Kaepernick has the same amount of playoff wins as the Cowboys do since, I don't know, 2006 or whatever shit. I mean, come on.
There was worse names on that list than Colin Kaepernick, right?
Yeah, no, but I wanted to try and make it
Sanchez, right?
Wasn't bad. Yeah, I know. We got less or equal playoff wins as the Jets and the Jaguars. I mean, Jesus Christ, Jerry, just get rid of Mike McCarthy and so away.
That's terrible.
Anyway, I'm off to go and console myself. If you want to catch all of the good work of these lovely people at Touchdown Tips, he's for AdamTDTips.com for his previews. Jack T_95 on Twitter for Jack, and then Callum at Callum JD Squires on Twitter for Callum. Also does some other work for some
Thank
other
you
little
very
bits
much.
as well. But appreciate your time, gents. So hopefully we can look forward to 4 cracking games, and then say we'll be back next week for the title games. Will Adam's Bengals be in there? Let's hope so for his sake, because he'll be even more of a nervous wreck than he currently is now.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you can you can tune in and find out next week, next Friday, or whatever, to see what the mood is. See what the mood is. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us, and see you then. Good luck. Bye.
Hooday.